It was, in a way, it was kind of like hitting the lottery because I was brand new to acting. I had studied acting at NYU, and I had done a pilot that didn't get picked up, and then I did a movie called Bring It On with, of course, that was a fun movie, right? It was fun to film, too. Let me tell you. A bunch of, teenagers running around in cheerleading outfits in San Diego, no adult supervision. No wonder the movie looked fun. Anyway, so I finished Bring It On, and I pretty much had this audition for this show called Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and I called up Eliza, and I was like, I think they want me to audition for the same show that you're on. And she's like, yeah, well, it's a great show, you should see what you can do. They sent me 2 pages of just random lines. They didn't have a character name. Actually, I think the character name was Sherry, or Cherry. And there was 0, it was like female. That was the description. I'm like, well, I got that in the bag. Check that off the list. And so I didn't really have anything to go on. I just knew the show was sort of, science fiction based. I mean, it was called Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So I knew that it was a little bit, off the beaten path of normal television. And I just thought, well, I'm just gonna go in and do this crazy audition and at least I'll stand out. So went in, auditioned, got the part, and I'd never done television other than the one pilot, and it was such an amazing experience working with the cast and the crew and Joss, obviously. And to this day, my group of friends is based around Buffy, largely. And so many things I've gotten to experience in my life because of the show, traveling the world, and amazing opportunities to meet people. I'm just really, really grateful. And it is really nice that the show still has a fan base. So thank you guys. Thank you. And now I'm just really curious if you guys have any questions. I'm happy to answer them. So I guess we can start there. Does anybody have anything they want to ask or talk about? You, yes. First convention, is this your first question ever? Okay, let's give her a round of applause. That takes a lot of courage. Go for it.
So my question is, just because you mentioned that you said a lot of your friends and the friend base is around people you worked with at Buffy. So who are you still friends with that you worked at with Buffy?
Literally, pretty much, if you follow my Instagram or Twitter, you know Julie, Benz, and Charisma, and Emma, and Amber, and obviously Eliza, and Jewel, and Felicia. We're all really good friends. Julie, Charisma and I are like best buds. Emma also, I don't want to leave. I feel like I'm leaving people out if I say, I love James. I see everyone. So the people who I probably don't see very often are Allison or Sarah. I don't really see them too often. Tony, I see every 12 months or so, usually at San Diego Comic-Con. That's kind of like the yearly party for everyone who's an actor. Goes down there and has a good time for a couple days. So those would be the people that I probably see the most. Yeah. Yeah?
From what you were saying, you weren't necessarily a fan before you got the part, so have you actually gone back and watched the entire series?
I haven't, but I feel like I have, because I know you guys have multiple times, many of you, hundreds of times. I don't know about hundreds, but I have talked so much about the show, and I'm really familiar with each, specific episodes, favorite episodes, seasons. I have not done the rewatch, but I was kind of waiting until all 4 of my kids got to an age where it would maybe work as a family thing, and then we could do it together. So I'm thinking in the next year or 2, I'll probably start that. Same with the comics. I haven't read the comics, but I know a lot of what's happened in them, and I'm just waiting for Glory to come into the comics. Yes?
So what you're saying is Ben and Glory are the same person.
No, I'm saying Ben is dead now. Glory has body jumped into Giles.
But how long did you know that Glory was a cop? Did you know that the whole time, and did that like affect your acting decisions at all?
Here's the interesting thing. I did not know she was a god until I got the script where she said, I'm a god, or however that was revealed, I kind of forget. And I was like, motherfucker. Like, they could have told me. But I think that Joss is really smart. He won't commit to a storyline until he knows that it's going to work for whatever reason, whether that's the actor is the right person for that role, or all the components make sense and the person can handle the type of dialogue they envision. So I think that for a while they left themselves an out with Glory, like maybe that's just a one episode character, and then and then they were able to see the longevity of the character, and I think that's probably when they made that decision. Although during the casting process, they did have Charlie Weber and I together, and so they did know I thought we were twins or something, I'm like, oh, that's fun, I'll get to have a twin. But no, so they did want us to look kind of similar. They were planning on that already. In terms of perfecting the acting, in retrospect, I'm glad I didn't know, because Glory, she wasn't she was very, in a way, human. She was very, she knew what she wanted, she went for what she wanted, she wasn't really, one cool thing about her is she wasn't affected by like outside influences, she just knew what she wanted and she was gonna get it. So I think that I was young when I played that role, very young. And I think that if I would have known she was a god, the tendency would have been to try to make her like bigger or greater or something. And I was just, basically fucking around with the role. So in retrospect, I'm glad I didn't know. I think it was better that way. Yeah.
The question is, every time the show gets picked up in different mediums, do you guys get paid all over again?
Well, it doesn't quite work that way. There's a thing called Residuals, and we will get residuals every time the show plays, but as the time passes, they become less and less. So yeah. So it's a trickle down effect. It's not like another big payday and here's another one. It's more like now you'll get a check for like, a much smaller amount than I don't want to, name a number, but a much smaller amount. Yeah. Yeah.
I would love to know about Glory's clothes. How did they figure that out, and how much did you love wearing that stuff?
Okay. Well, that's a good question, because she definitely had a distinct wardrobe. And that red dress that she wears at the beginning of the season, I have a funny story about that dress too, but that was a Prada dress. It was like, and we're talking about, 17 years ago. That was, at that point, like a $2,000 dress. So it was really nice. And I think they wanted, Sarah has really great taste in personal life. And so the show had really nice clothes and really stylish stuff, jewelry, everything looked great. And, it was a lot of fun wearing the clothes. Now, sometimes, because obviously we film at all hours of the day and night, and sometimes putting on a leather dress at 3 a.m. was not my preference, but it still was, I always liked the way she looked. In terms of the red dress, it's funny because you'll see the red dress in the first episode I'm in, and then you'll see it later in the season when I brain suck Tara. And you may or may not notice that the dress is tighter on me in the second episode because, before the show, I was a young actor. I'd done one movie. I was poor as a church mouse. And then all of a sudden I'm on this show and I can buy all this food. I was like, this is wonderful. I don't have to eat ramen every night. And so it was a lesson of learning how to okay, even though you can now purchase whatever you want, that doesn't mean you can eat it. It's kind of funny. The other funny thing about the wardrobe is the costumer, like I said, Sarah had great taste, and then of course there was Allison, and then there was, Emma, and there were several girls kind of who'd been on the show longer than me. So sometimes when they'd get down to doing my wardrobe, the budget was gone for the, So at one point she came in, it was sometime around October, early November, and she's like, Glory's gonna wear these silver pants. And I looked at them and I was like, that's your Halloween costume. Glory's not wearing that. So it was sometimes a struggle to get the right combination together, but we worked it out. Yeah.
So Glory was she was a very interesting character. I was curious how you kind of got in the mindset to play her and what inspiration you had for her.
Okay, so that's a good question. She definitely was distinct in her ways. I think a lot of it was, as an actor, just once I had kind of nailed down what I wanted the character to be, was just experimenting and having fun early in the episodes. And then as the season progressed, it just kind of became like second nature. I'd read the dialogue and I'd be like, oh yeah, this is how she's gonna do it, or this is how. But for the audition, like I was saying, there was just those 2 random pages of dialogue and no direction at all. And so I read it and I knew what kind of show Buffy was, and I thought, well, everyone else is gonna go in and they're just kind of gonna do this audition like normal. I'm like, I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna do it like Jack Nicholson in The Shining. And so that's what I did. So I guess you could say her original inspiration was Jack Nicholson's character in The Shining. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite scene and maybe an actor, like particularly that you like to play across with as Glory?
Oh, that's interesting. Favorite scene would probably be, I mean, I liked filming the 100th episode a lot because there were several factors. It was a culmination of the character, it was a culmination of the storyline. People thought the show was going to be over, so it was kind of like a culmination of the whole series. And there was a lot of stunt work, and I love like the stunt work, and I for me, the physicality of acting is just as important as the emotional component. So I really liked that aspect of that episode. Favorite actor? Everyone was. Here's the interesting thing: because Glory was on her own path, I didn't have a lot of scenes with the Scooby Gang. So when I did, I was always like very social, like, hey everybody, it's not just me alone with my minions, you know? And, you know, everybody was just really fun to work with. I remember James being particularly funny at the time. It's funny because, you know, that cast, they're together 7 years, it is like a whole high school family dynamic, you know what I mean? Everybody has their role, there's the class clown and the smartass and the this and that. But during season 5, he was definitely like in a friendly time of his life and fun to work with. Yeah. Yes?
So you said that Glory didn't have a name at that point. When did you know the name when they offered you the part, or was it like, when did you know the name was Glory?
You know, I think that when they offered me the part, yeah, they probably told me. I don't exactly remember. Definitely by the first episode. I think, isn't her name said in No Place Like Home, like Glorificus? Yeah. So probably when I got the script for the first episode, if not when I got cast, you know. But at that point, names don't really mean anything. You know, it's just, you know, it's not really, it didn't really mean anything until I sort of created her. You know what I mean? Yeah.
How was it work, since you're a split personality in those episodes? Did you work with the other actor a lot to talk about what you knew, what he knew, how you both want to address the character?
They didn't even let us in the same room as each other. And this was before the days really of cell phones. So we didn't have that kind of like connection that you do with people now where it's like, oh, I don't know you, but I'm gonna look you up on social media and now we're gonna be best friends. There was no way to like really connect with him. So no, we didn't plan too much about who knew what, and they didn't want us to. They were basically like, no, you're two separate characters, until of course then it was revealed that he was living in my body, which was not very nice. So yeah, there wasn't a lot of communication between us. Yes?
Do you have a favorite minion compliment? Because they were so funny.
Oh my God, they were really funny. What are some of your favorite ones?
Your glorious deliciousness, I think.
Mm-hmm. There was like a bright shiny one or something like that.
And were those written by like Joss wrote those, or were those ever ad-libbed?
Well, the writing team, Jane Espenson, David Greenwald, David Fury, Joss, Drew Goddard, Those guys, I mean, you listen to that list of names and you're like, damn, this was a training ground for everyone, cast, staff, everyone. I mean, Joss, he was well known, but he wasn't that well known at this point, and so there was just such talent in this show in particular. They all collaborated. I think Joss, I know he wrote No Place Like Home, and he wrote the 100th episode. He would supervise the scripts in between. There were certain times where I would get a script and the dialogue would be like, Gloria wouldn't say that. But most of the time they had honed in pretty well. So they wrote all that. I can't take any credit, although I would like to. Anybody else have a question? Yeah.
I have a question about your 5x5 podcast.
Yes.
About the name of it.
It was no connection to Eliza. I know, it's weird because then I found out after. So it was actually my co-host Tori on that podcast came up with the name, and so that's where that came from. And I guess 5x5 is also a military term that was used during World War II, or meaning I understand, and so that's where the name was originated. And then of course, Eliza, that connection is funny as well with that. Yeah.
You launched a social media app called Charlotte.
Oh yes, Charlie.
Tell us about it.
Okay, it's actually my friend's app. It's not mine, but I have been active in helping promote it. It's an app where you can actually talk to people you're a fan of. So there's sports figures that are on there, there's actors that are on there, and you can send them messages and they can message you back. So it's pretty cool, yeah. And you can put it, if you go to the App Store, it's CHARLY. Are you on it?
Yes.
Have you messaged me?
Yes.
Have I messaged you back? Good job, Claire. It is cool though, right? Yeah, it's really cool. When it first launched, I was like messaging Andy Roddick and because I'm a big tennis fan and talking to these sports figures. It's pretty neat. Yeah. Did I see a hand up over here? Yeah. Hey.
Bring It On is a great movie and kind of met Pitch Perfect, essentially stole the plot.
Well,
What's your favorite story that you can tell from behind the scenes of that?
I did mention we were all young
I
and
did.
unsupervised, living in San Diego. Now you want a story. They're also not appropriate. We just we went to cheer camp for a month beforehand, and none of us really knew each other, and we just had the best time, immersing, from the actors' point of view. There were, the 8 of us actors or whatever, and then the other 12 toros were professional cheerleaders, which at that time I didn't know was a thing, and now I do. And it was just so much fun learning the routines and the gymnastics and training and all that stuff. And I remember at one point, I turned to Eliza and I was like, I think I'm gonna give up acting and be a professional cheerleader. She was like, that's a horrible idea. But it was just a testament to how much fun. And you know who directed Bring It On, right? Peyton Reed, who's now directing the Ant-Man. I mean, he's again, his first feature, a lot of our first movies, just such a great energy on that set and so much fun. Here's a funny story. It's not scandalous, it's just funny. We filmed that car wash scene in the movie, where of course we're all in our bikinis and whatever. And so we filmed it, and we filmed it for 2 days over a weekend. And then when we filmed it, the director's like, okay guys, normally we'd have maybe a producer on set or maybe 2 producers. Well, this day 25 guys from Universal showed up. Oh yeah, we gotta make sure this car wash scene goes off without a hitch. Okay. So then we film it for 2 days. They're all there. It's this big party, why everybody's laughing, having fun. So then about 3 weeks later, Peyton, the director, he's like, you guys aren't gonna believe this. We're all like, what? He's like, we have to reshoot the car wash scene. So we shot it for another about 2 days, and once again, like, this whole gang of middle-aged men from Universal Studios comes down and was like, yeah, we just really gotta make sure we nail this scene. You know? It's like 30 seconds in the movie, you know, it's like a montage, so that was kind of funny. All right, yeah.
I'm sorry, you were talking a minute ago about an app where you can talk to people. I didn't catch the name of it. Can you say it again?
Yeah, it's called Charlie, Charly. And if you forget, you can come by my table and I'll show you. Yeah.
I'm gonna look it up right now.
Yeah, look it up. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. I've been lazy lately. I'm sorry, but I'll put my status back on if anyone wants to text me. All right. Anybody else have a question? Yes. Do I have a Joss Whedon story I could tell? You know, Joss is a really funny guy. I'm sure you guys have heard about all the Shakespeare readings and the, you know, things he does, and he's just very much like an actor's director and writer, you know. The thing I respected a lot about Joss, working with him early in my career, was he always knew exactly what he wanted. He wouldn't give you a line reading, but if the line was, you know, he said to go out that door, and I would say, but he said to go out that door over there. He'd be like, that's not the line. The line is, he said to go out that door. And I'm like, yeah, I just added a but. He's like, and that's not the line. So he always knew, there's a reason his writing is so brilliant. He has a certain cadence to his language that he understands, and he hires people who he knows can deliver in whatever way, you know, the way he wants. So I think I learned, the lesson I really learned from him, or one of them, was like, if you have an artistic point of view, stick with it. Don't be swayed. Don't let people talk you into, you know, modifying or molding what you want. Whatever you want, there's a reason, stick with it. So that would probably be what my biggest takeaway from him. Yeah. All right, anyone else? Yes. It's okay, girl. I'm here to tell you it's fine. I just gotta make sure we leave enough time for the quiz. We will, okay.
I like to say that Bring It On was the most quotable movie until Mean Girls came along. It was like the most quoted in high schools and stuff. In your opinion, whose final performance was better, the Clovers or the Clovers?
Are you really asking me?
I have an answer. I just want to see what your answer is.
Okay, let me think about their routine. I mean, I think this is a serious question, right? So I gotta give you a serious, I can't give like of course it was the Toros. We had the helicopter toss. They had some good basket tosses, but we had harder gymnastics. It was the Toros.
100%.
I agree. Thank you. And I would say those moves were a huge part of it. And we had like the dance, well, they had to get creative. We had the dance routine stuff and the swing stuff and, you know. So now he's this crazy endurance athlete, and he's the first hand cyclist to qualify for this race. He spent 3 years trying to qualify. Well, he qualified, and so we have a film crew. We're making a documentary called Joyrider. We started, you know, last week in Oceanside. We spent like 3 days there. We hit the road Tuesday. He has cycled over 3,000 miles, and it's crazy. So I'm directing that. It's a freaking amazing experience. I flew in from Durango, Colorado, and I'm flying back in tomorrow to like Garden City, Utah, or I don't even know where, but they're, you know, traversing while I'm gone. So I'm doing that, and then I have a movie or a series called Dark Web. So congrats. Yeah, absolutely. Are you like stalking me because it's time to go?
Take her away.
You guys, in all honesty, I really, really enjoy coming and connecting with you. Thank you so much. And